Hello and welcome to RS Agarwal's IAS. In this video of the Daily News Express, let us discuss the important topics appearing in the Hindu newspaper dated 9 December 2020. Let us start. This is a list of topics that we'll be discussing today. First, we'll talk about a report released by the Stanford University or a database released by the Stanford University which has Indian scientists also in it. We'll discuss that in detail. Then we'll talk about the state of the economy, what are the changes, how are the changes coming about, and what can be done. We'll discuss some facts about the Central Vista project. We'll talk about a future led by artificial intelligence. We'll discuss some facts with regards to SARC. We'll know why Mount Everest has been in news, and then we'll end the discussion by learning some facts vis-a-vis the prelims examination. Let us move on to the first article of the day. Here we are talking about the Indian scientists and this database released by the Stanford University. This caters to GS paper 3 as well as GS paper 2. Now this database released by Stanford University consists of over 1,50,000 scientists. The names of over 1,50,000 scientists, and is to be noted that in the top 2%, 1,594 scientists who are Indians are present. Please note that this database released by Stanford University, which is consisting of scientists, has over 1,50,000 scientists, and in the top 2%, 1,594 Indian scientists are found or can be mentioned. It is also to be understood that only in the top 2% so many scientists are coming. That means overall a lot more Indian scientists will be there. Now this database uses various approaches to include scientists in it, or various criteria to include scientists in it, like the papers published and citations and all these things are coming into picture. And it is not confined to scientists only related to the field of physics or chemistry or applied sciences. Scientists related to various fields are mentioned in this database, and they are also from various disciplines are mentioned from the database. That is not just government backed scientists but also privately practicing scientists are mentioned in this database. Now we have to understand that this in this database, Indian scientists who are found, 4/5 of them are working for the government supported institutions. 4/5 of those mentioned are working for the government supported institutions. This can include universities, this can include other research institutions like DRDO, NTRO, all, or you have Bell, all these kind of institutions where the scientists are working. Now we can be happy about the fact that the scientists are which are mentioned in this report are not just relating to the urban areas. They are also scientists who are working in the rural areas, that is remote villages, on their very own projects have also been mentioned in this database. Private scientists, as in those who are functioning or those who are practicing privately, are also mentioned, like I said, and those scientists who are working with NGOs are also mentioned in this database. In general, what we can understand this is a lot of people who are working as scientists need support from the government. It is to be noted that several fields have big mentions, have a lot more relevance here, like you have applied physics, you have mechanical engineering, you have transport. These fields have a lot more people in comparison to fields like genetics, geology and others. They have very less mention. So basically some fields have gained a lot of traction in India, some fields have not gained a lot of traction. Now let us come to what can be bettered in this manner. So here this article mentions about how the National Education Policy or the new education policy of 2020 mentions what we call as the NRF, National Research Foundation. It mentions about the National Research Foundation, which will help in boosting the research and development ecosystem in India, where it can help in finding better ideas, it can help in finding better solutions, it can aim in getting better governance, etc. Currently, we have to note that India spends less than 1% of its GDP on this aspect called research and development, which becomes a backing or a source for all new ideas and solutions. And with this, the National Research Foundation, various betterments can be seen, or India might as well start spending more percent of its GDP on what we call as research and development. Now, four important divisions have been made in this. You have science, you have technology, you have social science, and you have agriculture and health. It is believed that better divisions can be made where you can include environment, agronomics, and all these things can be included. So, with this National Research Foundation, we can aim for Atmanirbhar Bharat or self-reliant India. We can aim for a better peer review of our research. Then we can talk about incentivizing research. We can push the research by providing good incentives, and a whole new culture of research and development is seeming to emerge with this National Research Foundation. So, very nicely have added two aspects of research in India, be it the scientists or be it the NRF through the NEP, which can come into picture and can result in a better manner. So, as we know, for anything to come up in a better way, research and development is very, very important. We have to invest ample amount of money, ample amount of time, ample amount of energy in research and development. Only then can we figure out better solutions. So with this, let us move on to the next article of the day. Here we are talking about state of the economy. This kind of articles have been appearing on a daily basis in the Hindu newspaper. Yesterday also we have discussed, but we'll have to discuss it again because economy becomes very important and the basics of economy become very, very important. This caters to GS paper 3. We have to understand that GDP figures in quarter 1 and quarter 2 differed. Now in quarter 1 we had GDP shrinking at minus 24%, but in quarter 2 it came to 7%. Though there was a drastic change, this was still not great. It was not very acceptable. The government predicted, or the government experts predicted, what we call as a V-shaped recovery, but it was not seen, it did not happen. Now, this can be attributed to the lockdown because lockdown has its own ramifications or its own implications on employment scenario, on income scenario, on the demand scenario as well. We believe that after the lockdown was lifted, the economy would bounce back, that is, a V-shaped recovery would be seen, but none of that happened. GDP figures, as we know, crashed to 7%, 7.5, you can say. Even then, it was not the best thing we have ever seen because our GDP has gone with a better figure. We also saw that the private final consumption expenditure, that is, the household expenditure that private personnel spent, it was in quarter 1 was 27%, and in quarter 2 it became 11%. So it was shrinking, but then now it is slowly recovering. The gross fixed capital formation has also fallen to minus 7% in quarter 2. We also have to understand that states are suffering because the central government has not provided them with enough expenditure through the budget. Though what was provided in the budget was woefully low, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, this shrunk even more. This became even lesser. Then you can talk about the GDP figures which added to the woeful scenario and said it wasn't. And then you can also add the GST revenue that was provided, and the GST revenue crunched. The GST revenue crunched for the states because of simple reasons that there was a lockdown, and compensation also was not provided to the states, and the states were on their own for this. So overall the scenario worsened. Apart from that, we can discuss about the government final capital expenditure. Government final capital expenditure. Now we believe that the government final capital expenditure is something that can save the economy. And in the first half of 2019-20, I'm talking about, this increased by 10%. It was very good for the economy. But then in the first half of 2020-21, it shrunk by 4%. Right? It shrunk by 4%. The government, though provided a stimulus, it went up, or it could be bettered at a maximum percentage of 16. Again, in the quarter 2, this thing dropped to 22%. So basically, we saw a shrinking of government's spending or government's monetary policy, which was shrunk. It was very, very less compared to what we wanted. So we believe in this article, according to this article, it is said that demand, investment are two things that can propel the economy. So if we have to do something, we should not push the supply side, rather we should push the demand side and the investment side. Government should spend to induce demand and not only to ease doing business, is what this author is saying. We should not only spend to ease doing business. The government has taken the opportunity of the pandemic to bring in the farm bills, the labor codes, and the government should make the scenario, make the atmosphere, make the ecosystem suitable for these bills to function or these bills to be implemented in the right regard than creating a issue with the conservatism or the expenditure. So here it is saying that we should not be overtly optimistic because there can be dangers of misplaced optimism. The government's economic recovery hype is off track and this is not the time for fiscal conservatism. So the government should spend more so that people have the demand is staying afloat and there is good investment so that the economy will come back to where it was and we have stable economic growth by controlling inflation also and controlling the prices also. With this, let us move on to the next article of the day. This editorial of the Hindu newspaper talks about the Central Vista project. It talks from the perspective which is not important from UPSC point of view, but then let us discuss some facets about the Central Vista project. This caters to GS paper 2 as well as your prelims examination. You can also add the aspect of GS paper 1 where you can add architecture, you can add history and other things. So Central Vista project is under the purview of Ministry of Housing and Urban Development. Please note this. It is under the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development. This project has been coming into picture since the year 2019 and from this round building that we have, the Parliament building, they are planning to construct a triangular type of a building which can be the Central Vista project. It will have a common central secretariat and the road that from leads from Rashtrapati Bhavan to the India Gate, which is almost 3 kilometers in length, will be revamped completely. It will be revamped completely, and the north and the south block in this will be reshaped as museums. Okay, so these are some important things that we need to know. And the Central Vista that is currently, which is there, this one, it houses the Rashtrapati Bhavan. We know that it has the Rashtrapati Bhavan, it has the Parliament, of course. It has the north and south block, like I told you. It is leading to the India Gate and it is leading to the National Archives, so on and so forth. What is the historical point of view of this? In the year 1911, if you go back to the syllabus of your modern history, the capital of India was shifted from Calcutta to Delhi. Okay, it was announced by King George V. Please note this. It was announced by King George V in the Delhi Darbar that was set up to move back or to move ahead the capital from Calcutta to Delhi, where King George V was coronated. The task for constructing the new city as such was given to two people, Edwin Lutyens, Edwin Lutyens, and the other was Herbert Baker. Please remember these names, very important. Edwin Lutyens and Herbert Baker. These two have been very close to the British and they both are Englishmen. They have done a good job for the British because Herbert Baker was the one who designed the Union buildings of Pretoria in South Africa and Edwin Lutyens was known for his amazing adherence to what you call as European classicism of architecture. So as a part of this, they were given this great opportunity or the great chance, and the Parliament building was designed by both of them. The current Parliament building was designed by both of them, that is Mr. Lutyens and Mr. Baker. The Rashtrapati Bhavan, in particular, the Rashtrapati Bhavan was designed by Edwin Lutyens. The Common Secretariat that we are talking about was designed by Herbert Baker. So these are the facets that we have to know from the point of view of UPSC with regards to these two buildings. We also have to understand that this Central Vista project has been a subject of debate because the government is spending, is given here that over 971 crores the government is spending in this for this project, and it's going to be a bigger one. It can accommodate a lot of MPs, 888 people in Lok Sabha, 384 in Rajya Sabha. A lot of things that are talking about, and it's something that we all should be happy about because before the 75th year of independence in 2022 we will have a new parliament building which will be indigenous, or it will be built by us own. But the point is that when our economy is suffering, when the economy is under losses, this is not the dire need. We can use the money for some other aspects. We can put it across to betterment of the people who are suffering or the laborers who suffered in the lockdown, so on and so forth. This is the debate that's coming forward. But the government is of firm belief that they will be able to manage all these facets together. Even the Supreme Court has questioned the construction, but we will see how this will pan out in the future and how it will be taken forward with. And yeah, that is it about the Central Vista project that you need to know from UPSC point of view. Let us move on to the next article of the day. Here we are talking about a future led by artificial intelligence. This caters to GS paper 2 as well as GS paper 3. Now we have to understand that artificial intelligence is the word of mouth for everyone today. Everyone is talking about it, and it has come into play at various levels and various places. It has helped us to do new things, right? New things have been working together, and we are doing in this regard. And new things, I have to add that it is used in healthcare now. It is used in you know um, uh, infrastructure development. It is used in trade. So many places it is used, and data adds to the usage of artificial intelligence. And when we saw that there was a lockdown, we saw that according to the data of the government, uh, the Department of Telecommunications reported that there was an increase of 13% in the internet usage. How much? There was an increase of 13% in the internet usage, and this became a gold mine for the people who developed their algorithms and artificial intelligence databases based on the data that is provided. Now we know that government has also understood the power, or government also has understood the what do you call as the potential of artificial intelligence. New strategies have been coming forward, and it has Niti Aayog has been the forerunner in this. Niti Aayog has released the artificial intelligence for all strategy, where artificial intelligence can be used in various things from the government's perspective, like healthcare, agriculture, you have infrastructure, transportation, where we will find artificial intelligence led solutions to these problems that have been put forward. With this Niti Aayog coming forward, several states also have come up with the solution that we will find an artificial intelligence led strategy in the country or in the state. Apart from this, what the article talks about is an artificial intelligence startup ecosystem in the country. Now, several startups are coming up which are basing their whole idea on what you call as the artificial intelligence. Even there are several coaching institutes, not just for UPSC, but for several other competitive exams, even for children, for schools and classes. They have banked upon this opportunity of pandemic and are coming up with artificial intelligence suited uh, ecosystem where they can learn. The children can learn. This startups are providing cutting edge solutions and various expertise, right? Various expertise to various problems. Like, how you have several apps today. Let me not mention their names. You can use them to find out a solution to your problem. We also have understood that because of this startup ecosystem or any other companies working, 5 lakh people today directly or indirectly working in the fields of machine learning or artificial intelligence. We have known this 5 lakh people today directly or indirectly are working with machine learning or artificial intelligence. This will develop in the future, this will grow in the future, and this will make India a powerhouse for artificial intelligence, and we will have what we call as the artificial intelligence led economy. Artificial intelligence led economy. And if our economy is led by artificial intelligence, we will have economic growth, right? Our economic growth will get boosted, and it is believed by a famous company called as NASSCOM that by the year 2025, artificial intelligence will contribute, or artificial intelligence led economy will contribute $450 billion to $500 billion to the GDP by the year 2025. It's a very good thing to note. Now there are key segments. There are three key segments that India has to focus on. First is the consumer goods and retail. To use artificial intelligence, consumer goods and retail. Second, agriculture. And third, banking and infrastructure. If these segments become completely automated or artificial intelligence led, then we can definitely speak about an artificial intelligence led economy. Please note that these three key segments will boost employment like the fastest, and the employment will grow in a geometric ratio, as the author says. Now we are also believing that artificial intelligence led economy will provide 20 million tech roles alone. I'm not talking about non tech roles, 20 million tech roles alone, which will help us to govern better and will help us get better revenue. Pandemic has been quite helpful when these scenarios are mentioned. It has provided a space for new things to be tested and to have an artificial intelligence led future. There is a example provided by the author about the Telangana police. Telangana police, which is also very forward when it comes to using technology and cyberspace, has have developed this during the pandemic, that with the help of artificial intelligence, they would easily catch hold of those who would violate the lockdown norms based on the number plate of the car. So now that number plate would be flashed through a camera, and the database would quickly find out whose number plate is this, and then they would hold that person for violating the norms of the lockdown. So this is the various example or various places where artificial intelligence can be used. Now there are certain priorities that India has to follow. There are certain priorities. First is, we have to understand that uh, talent has to be polished. Talent has to be polished. Yes, we do have talent, but there are a few nuances that we need to consider in this regard, and that talent has to be polished. Second, we have to talk about policies. The policies should be in such a way that data is used in accordance to the legal framework that we have set up, and the data is not misused. So, data is something that can be misused immensely. So, we have to have a good policy to govern what we call as artificial intelligence, machine learning, data analytics has to be governed in the right manner. And mostly, we have to enhance digitization. Various organizations, be it government, non-government, should aim at having digitization and should get digitized so that it becomes easy for us to have a artificial intelligence led future. So the way forward is that the solution is in front of us. We have to adopt it in the right manner, and we have to propel it in the right manner. We have to take it seriously, and we have to make sure that no misuse or no cyberbullying as such is done through the use of artificial intelligence. So this is a very nicely written article. You can use it. There's several mentions, several examples. They can be picked up. With this, let us move on to the next article of the day. Here we're talking about SARC. SARC stands for South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, right? South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. This caters to GS paper 2, international relations, and also your prelims examination. Now, SARC was established in the year 1985 at Dhaka. Dhaka is in Bangladesh, we know it. So it was established in 1985 at Dhaka, and there are 7 founding countries of SARC, namely Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. These countries first met for a SARC summit in 1981 at Colombo. Colombo is the capital of Sri Lanka. Afghanistan has become the recent or the latest member of SARC and the 13th annual summit, right? In the 13th annual summit. Currently, the headquarters of SARC is located in Kathmandu. Where is Kathmandu? Kathmandu is in Nepal. So this is some facts we have to know about SARC. So several countries are there, 7 member countries are there, plus 1 Afghanistan, 8 member countries. There are observer members also for SARC. You have Australia, you have China, you have the European Union, you have Japan, you have Myanmar, you have USA. All these are the observer members, not very important, but countries like Iran is there, countries like USA is there, country like Myanmar is also there, who are the observer members. Now SARC cooperates on various things. It cooperates on, let's say, for basics agriculture. That is obvious that there is a trade, economics, social affairs, energy, transport, education, security, natural disasters, biotechnology, human resource, tourism, all these places there is SARC. SARC as in holds together the South Asian region, not talking about Southeast Asian, but holds together the South Asian region, has a lot of importance for the South Asian region. Now the SARC comprises of 3% of the world area. Please note, world area I'm talking about, 3% of world area, 21% of world population, and 3.8% of the global economy. Let me repeat, SARC comprises 3% of world area, 21% of world population, and 3.8% of global economy. Now, SARC has been in quite a bit of crossroads because India has constantly avoided the SARC summit, giving the reason that Pakistan has violated the ceasefire norms, and hence we will not be in a position to deal with Pakistan or strategically converse with Pakistan. So India has been quite at the crossroads for avoiding the SARC, but now Prime Minister Modi has been a part of this Charter Day celebrated, and he has spoken about how we need a terror-free milieu. He said the full potential of SARC can only be realized in an atmosphere free of terror and violence. SARC countries must recommit to defeating the forces that support and nurture terrorism. Prime Minister Modi has directly spoken up against Pakistan and the activities of Pakistan and said this was not supposed to happen. The last SARC summit in 2014, where India, took part, but in the year 2016, Pakistan held the next summit, but it had to be put off after India refused to attend the event in Islamabad, and after this SARC summit has not happened. So this is the charter state that they have met for, and Nepal is the current chair of the SARC. It has not rotated because of the various reasons. So several experts believe that we need to abandon SARC, we need to get rid of SARC, but several experts believe that it is not a good move because if India abandons SARC, Pakistan can take an opportunity and include China in it because China is already hovering around as a friend and other things. So India should be very, very careful when it comes to these kind of things, and India should be smart to tackle this move. Yes, India has done abandoned the SARC summits, but then India should find a way to get them all together. Several people believe that alternative organizations like BIMSTEC, that is Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral, transport, energy cooperation, it's not very helpful, be it BBIN or BIMSTEC, but then SARC has its sanctity, SARC has its relevance, so we have to make sure that we are holding SARC together. With this, let us move on to the next article of the day. Here we are talking about Mount Everest, which is in news. It does not come into news all the time, but yes, it is in news because according to China and Nepal, they have announced that the height of Mount Everest has gone from 8,848 meters to 8,848.86 meters. It has gone up slightly, and it is possible because of the tectonic activity in the region. It can grow up, it can increase. So it's gone up a little more. Okay, so let us learn some facts about Mount Everest. So Mount Everest is the tallest peak of the world. It's the tallest peak of the world, located in the Himalayas, mountain region, situated well between China and Nepal and India. So the official evaluation was it was 8,848 meters, but now it's gone a little more. And the second highest mountain in the world comes the K2, Mount K2, which is 8,611 meters. So if you talk about the Mount Everest, it is named after an Englishman called as Sir George Everest. His name is Sir George Everest, who was a geographer or who served as the Surveyor General of India during the British era. It was first scaled, the Mount Everest was first conquered in the year 1953. Please note, in the year 1953 by an Indo-Nepalese Tenzing Norgay and a New Zealander Edmund Hillary. So this is some facts and figures. So how about the measurement? Let us know some facts about that also. The first ever survey was carried out in the year 1847, long as 1847, by a team led by the Surveyor General of India called as Andrew Waugh. Andrew Waugh led the first survey in 1847, and after so many years a proper thing was done, and the team discovered the peak 15, that is the Mount Everest, and then it was considered as the highest mountain peak ever. Before this, the K2 was considered to be the highest mountain peak. So as you know, the Mount Everest is subject to what you call as tectonic activity due to the movement of the Indian plate and the other plates. So it is important to remeasure it and try to understand the height of the summit or the height of the peak as well. And hence, new measurements have been done where the height has gone up by 0.86 meters. 0.86 meters. So the current height is 8,848.86 meters. So all these facets are clear. And if you talk from geography point of view, whole new discussion will start, but that's completely geography. This is some trivia that UPSC is very fond of asking in these days. Since 3 years, the trend has been like UPSC is very keen on asking trivia to the people. So we have focused on trivia here. With this, let us move on to the next article of the day. Here we are talking about Carnatic music. This caters to GS paper 1 art and culture and prelims also art and culture. Now in Indian music, if you talk about the Indian music, so this is an article but then not important. The only important aspect is the mention of the Carnatic music. Indian music is divided into Hindustani music and Carnatic music. Now Hindustani music is confined to North India. It has its own features which we'll not learn now. Let us learn about Carnatic music. Carnatic music is confined to southern India, to states like Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, etc. And this music, Carnatic music, emphasizes more on vocals. It has its own style, it has its own beauty. The music is in traditional octave form and is a Kriti based music. Okay, it is a Kriti based music. Now this music of course is purely indigenous. Now why do I call it purely indigenous? Because Hindustani music has been influenced so much by external factors, be it from the Deccan, be it from the Persia, be it from the other places. It's hugely influenced, but the Carnatic music is not, and Hindustani music has developed its own substyles, but Carnatic music has no substyles. Please note this: it has no substyles and it has no scope for improvisation also. It's completely indigenous and it has a particular way of singing. It has 72 ragas in it, 72 ragas, and it is emphasizing, like I told you, it is emphasizing more on the vocals than the instruments. But there are several instruments used, like you have veena, you have mridangam, you have mandolin also used, you have flute, you have violin. All these instruments are used when it comes to Carnatic music. So these are some facets which can be important from the art and culture point of view. With this, let us move on to the next article of the day. Here we are talking about leopard from prelims point of view, biodiversity. Now leopard is placed in the Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. Leopard is vulnerable according to IUCN. It is mentioned in the Appendix 1 of CITES. Now there are 9 subspecies of leopard in various continents like Africa and Asia. In India there are several species also found. There is no particular survey done for leopards, but it is a part of the Project Tiger where we count the survey or the number of leopards. Now leopard has been subject to what you call as man-animal conflict, human-leopard conflict, and it is one of the most widely found across the Western Ghats region, even in the North Indian part. And it has come into picture a lot of times in news, so we have to note that it is vulnerable according to IUCN Schedule 1 and Appendix 1. So I would leave you with this question. Write to me in the comment section about where is the Manikdo Leopard Conservation Center located. Well, that's it from today's Daily News Express. Thank you so much for staying tuned. If you have any doubts or anything to discuss, write to us in the comment section. Don't forget to press the bell icon, and yes, share this video if you find it interesting, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Until next time, stay safe, take care, bye bye.